In the fight against Islamic State militants, so far only U.S. and Iraqi forces are taking part in the push to drive them back toward the Syrian border. Iraqi President Fouad Massoum says that fight needs to be bigger and broader.
We must pursue them wherever they are. We must cut off their financing. We must besiege them with laws that forbid people to work with them. We must bring them to justice, and we must stop the fighters in the neighboring countries joining them.
French President François Hollande says the Islamic State threat is not one the international community can ignore.
Et nous devons nous engager ensemble. Et c'est le sens de cette conférence.
We have to act together. We have to stand by the Iraqi authorities, clearly, loyally, and strongly. And there's not a moment to be lost.
Et il n'y a pas de temps à perdre.
U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry came to these talks after meetings in Iraq, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and Egypt, trying to rally Arab leaders against the group, which is also known as ISIS. U.S. officials say it's especially important to have Muslim allies undermine its extremist Muslim ideology. Georgetown University professor Nora Bensahel says that ideology is a regional threat.
Most of the states in the region, regardless of whether they're Sunni or Shia or U.S. allies or U.S. enemies or anything like that, do have an interest in stopping ISIS because it is such a well-organized group that has a brutal, brutal extremist ideology, even by regional standards.
U.S. Institute of Peace analyst Steve Heidemann says the Islamic State also threatens Syria and its allies Russia and Iran, which encouraged the group as a counterweight to more moderate opponents.
It's a moral hazard question. They behaved badly, but we may engage, we may intervene in ways that mean that they are not suffering the consequences of their bad behavior.
These talks focused on building a coalition to confront militants in Iraq, not in Syria, where they're based. Human Rights Watch's Sarah Margon says that deals with only part of the problem.
Going forward, any response to what's going on in Iraq has to include a Syria component. Otherwise, you're just going to see ISIS retreat, harden, and continue to mobilize themselves from across the border.
Iraqi leaders again called for airstrikes across the border in Syria, which U.S. officials say their European and Arab allies are far more reluctant to consider, with President Obama vowing to attack Islamic State fighters wherever they are. U.S. officials say when it comes to Syrian airstrikes, they will have ready their legal justification for such action in a sovereign state that has not asked for that military intervention. Scott Stearns, VOA News, Paris.